So, yeah, but it still won't go live. We need to talk about this.
This video is live now. Yeah, you're live, brother.
All right, we are live. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. Hopefully, everyone's doing good. We'll pull everything up. So we had Jody scheduled. She was going to talk to us about the new highway they're putting in, but it sounds like she had to reschedule. So we're just going to riff on current events. So Dave brought up talking about Israel and Palestine, and yeah, that sounds plenty toxic for us. So we'll I guess run into that and see what we see. So Dave, what are or should we first cover some all right, dog, you can sit there for a minute. Should we first talk about some more local stuff or at least in the US, like the gas shortage?
Yeah, so the gas shortage. I guess we could talk about that first. I mean, it's going to have a very hard impact on us this summer, I suppose. So from what I'm aware of, the company that runs the pipeline over there in the East Coast received a little ransomware after a hacker disabled the pipeline, and I would imagine that that they're having a lot of problems with it right now, even though that the incident is over, because this pipeline has never been turned off 100%. So they're going through a crisis right now with the gasoline. You might have noticed the price going up, and the crisis is the fact that, hey, this equipment, it's never been shut down 100%. It's only been shut down in sections for repairs here and there, but never to 100% capacity. So during the hack, it was shut down to 100% capacity. What that's going to do to the pipeline, we are still yet to find out, but we definitely can see the results on the pump. The prices of gasoline have jumped considerably, and we're fortunate because we still have gasoline. I'm going to Battle Mountain tomorrow. That's all the way in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we'll have enough gasoline to get there and back.
Well, it sounds like it's only, I guess, spurs on they call it the Colonial Pipeline right now. So, Georgia, North Carolina, maybe a little bit in Florida, Virginia. So like Virginia down to Florida. It sounds like that's where the issues are. I've heard there's also kind of a shortage on, do I want to say, I don't know, the ability to deliver it by truck. So I've heard it's maybe a shortage of available trucks, or a shortage of truck drivers with the proper clearance to haul fuel, or a shortage of, I don't know what all it is. You just, there's a lot of talk around it, but my heart goes out to friends and family back east. I got a buddy who just moved from here to North Carolina, so he's knee deep in it right now. And yeah, I've seen pictures where it's like gas prices at $9, around $9 a gallon, and that would be shocking. That's European level gas prices.
Well, I mean, we do try to catch up to the Europeans, so maybe this will be one of those check boxes we're trying to fill in with the new administration. So I did watch Biden speak about the incident yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do know is that there was a hacker. It
Mm-hmm.
looks like the hacker was in Russia, but the hack was not promoted by the Russian government.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the interesting thoughts I had, and I'm not sure how the result ended, but I had the thought, like, okay, so this ransomware asked for a ransom. why didn't Joe Biden tell us how much the ransom was? Was it paid? And what was the ransom request in? And that interested me the most. I'll be honest. I was hoping he'd say that throughout the entire speech, but I did not get any information out of Joe Biden's speech that fulfilled my desire to quench that thirst for knowledge.
How crazy would it have been if, say, they wanted it in Bitcoin, and let's just say even we'll shortchange them, but they wanted, let's say 10 Bitcoin.
Ooh.
And the government went out or whoever, or the oil company, which does oil companies have enough cash in reserve to do this? Or I'm sure they have enough real estate and things like that to do it possibly, but went out and 5 Bitcoin was bought all at once. That would have shot the Bitcoin market through the roof.
No, probably not.
You don't think so? You don't think of a single buy of 5 Bitcoin?
No.
And that's only $250,000, right?
So from what I am aware of the Bitcoin market, I believe we are at 1% adoption throughout the world. So 1%, that's not a lot. We have a lot of wiggle room there as an economy to
well, no, but you don't think
Bitcoin.
You don't think that would have raised the value of Bitcoin on the market?
I think if Joe Biden had said Bitcoin was the requested currency of the hack, that would have done something.
Well, then, even if it was, I guarantee he wouldn't say that then.
And that's interesting right there all by itself, is the fact that, hey, why wouldn't Joe Biden say Bitcoin? I mean, what's the secret? What's the knowledge we're trying to withhold? What is the panic we're trying to prevent? I don't know. Is Bitcoin having such an effect on the American economy that Joe Biden can't say what the ransom request was? I'm sure we could probably dig it up in the internet somewhere, but it's just interesting that the president couldn't bring himself to say, the thing.
It doesn't shock me, because I think the minute that that any substantial government official starts talking about how Bitcoin is what's requested by, hackers and all that, that would just further devalue the dollar.
But, if the value of the dollar was really there, why would they care? I mean, it's Bitcoin. It's just funny money. It's something that nerds use to hold their glasses together.
We know the value of the dollar isn't really there. We know the value of Bitcoin has substantially more longevity than the value of the dollar. But we also know the government can't get their greedy paws on your Bitcoin as easy. But they can get their greedy paws on your dollars relatively easy. And that's what I think. That's why I think they would be afraid of them making moves that would cause Bitcoin to replace the dollar so soon.
Yeah. So if anyone out there does know what the ransom was and what it was asked in for currency wise, if it could have been a different coin, because privacy coins provide a lot more security for the person doing the ransom. So if he did ask for Bitcoin, I would ask for something else that just wouldn't track back to me if I were to do it.
Yeah, it provides more security, honestly, for both. The way you can trade it. I mean, even the person paying it doesn't have to. He can separate it and not have to expose himself to, banks and everything else, which would give him some more security. But and maybe they asked for it in Doge, and everybody laughed too hard. I don't know. Anyway, but I heard a kind of a funny note on that, is that they put the rent. This is what I heard. I have no, facts on this. That they invested it, put up the ransom, realized the size of what they invested, and then apologized for it. declined the ransom and all that. And then the company, I also heard this, don't know if it's for sure. I heard that the company that wrote the program, the infestation program, also is a company that is known to work with some of our federal agencies. And so they apologized and says, we're going to vet who we sell our programs to better in the future.
And where did this knowledge come from?
It's just me listening to
Random stuff.
random podcasts. But that's my favorite story if it's true. That's the one I like. And I don't know, anyone out there, if you got any knowledge on it, drop it on us. You know, we would love to hear people more knowledgeable than ourselves on it for sure. And then other things going on. It seems like there's kind of a few things boiling to a head. Did you watch any of Rand Paul taking Fauci to task?
Yeah, I watch a little Fauci bashing once in a while. I don't know. I mean, I'm not big on the whole pandemic thing myself. I don't think it's at the point where
This
we have
wasn't
to worry
about
so
the
hard
pandemic.
about masks and things such as that. Fauci's invested in this. He's, I guess he's got like lots of investments that benefit from this pandemic. So, what do they call that when you have interest in
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest?
Yeah, but you could argue that with all senators. No, what this one was about was apparently there is a regulation written in that our government cannot financially support any gain of function research. And that's what our government was doing in Wuhan.
Gain of function?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
It's where you take a virus and you give it another habit, like you take the coronavirus and you add on, apparently, this is an ape talking, but the way it's explained is those spike whatevers on the virus are added to it. That's not natural to the virus.
I heard it was spliced with HIV.
That's where one of the arguments where it comes from. And apparently, Fauci is the one that proposed and kind of, as far as the argument, drew up the process of supporting the Wuhan lab on doing the gain of function research on that, which is against, the U.S. regulation.
Oops.
So but Fauci argued, that really wasn't gain of function because that, and he practiced law for a minute.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. I think we need to take a hard look at Fauci. From what I've heard, he's our highest paid government employee, like out of all of them. And he's been there forever. I think we're going on 40 years in his position. And there's a lot of shifty crap that came out of that.
Yeah, I think it. I have to applaud the Chinese. I mean, they're the only people who can bomb us and kill nearly 500,000 people.
Not just us.
In our country.
This whole world.
Well, yeah, but us. I mean, us. The U.S.
The only people that's standing up to him is Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines.
Not only that, but when you tell people that we got bombed by China, it becomes a political liberal versus conservative thing.
I think that's our biggest hazard, is how the coronavirus pandemic became political, where if Trump said something, it automatically got, another person couldn't repeat it. Like when they said the chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine. If you said that, you got taken off of all the social medias. And there was another medication that another doctor talked about, but it became politicized to where the only thing that was allowed was this stuff. And I'm not saying whether what Trump said was right or wrong. I'm just saying it's weird that the media and the social media reacted that way.
So yeah, hats off to China. Whatever you did, it worked. You won't receive any retaliation. You made your point. Most Americans don't get it because they can't do math like Asian people. And, yeah, another display of Chinese dominance over the world. Congratulations, Winnie the Pooh. You got the honeypot.
Anyway, so yeah, there's that with Fauci. I did enjoy watching. He was on the hot seat and he got a little nervous about it. I enjoyed watching that. Rand Paul went after him. And then Israel and Palestine are kicking off. That's kind of the big story going on right now.
Well, on a lighter note, we can talk about some Tinder ethics before we get into the deep stuff.
Talk about what?
Well, I just got this article. It's kind of funny.
So,
but it's not.
What is it?
Because it's real. So I want you to imagine you're a young lad on Tinder and you find this attractive girl, and let's say you made a fortune off of Dogecoin, and that's kind of like your shiny medallion, you got the car for the weekend kind of thing, right? You always need something to impress the opposite sex when you go out on a date. So this guy, he's a Dogecoin millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And he's out with this Tinder date. Her name, I'll say her name. It's written here. Jennifer Garcia, 25. And the kid's 21 years old. So anyway, this kid shows her.
So he's a 21-year-old millionaire off of Dogecoin.
According to himself, yes.
Well, and that wouldn't be that shocking. If he would have dumped 10 grand into Dogecoin.
You're a millionaire.
2 years ago.
Yep.
It would have shocked him overnight. I mean, that would have been ridiculous, but yeah.
Well, anyway, this girl must have known what Dogecoin was and how that works, because this guy shows the girl the wallet address showing that he's a millionaire on the date. So it's hard to even believe, because I remember my wife would get so ashamed if I even talked about cryptocurrency in front of other people back in the day. But now young lads are showing their dates cryptocurrency wallets filled with Dogecoin.
So he went on a date with her, showed her the wallet address.
Correct.
Okay.
So she sees the value in his wallet address. So they have sex. He forces him to have unprotected
forces
sex.
him. Well, she may not force. She may suggest.
It was at gunpoint.
At gunpoint, she made him have.
Well, that's what the article says. It says, woman forced Dogecoin millionaire to ejaculate inside her at gunpoint.
What are you reading this off of?
NEA?
NEA? She put a gun to his head.
And this happened the article is on May 7, 2021.
So that's when Doge was at its high.
So, here's a little advice to all you young studs out there with your Dogecoin.
Get a vasectomy.
Don't go out showing your Dogecoin to your Tinder dates.
Get
in fact
a vasectomy.
It's something I wouldn't even talk about.
It's reversible. Get it done. I suggest all 18-year-olds schedule an appointment. It's rough. You're going to get cut twice.
Don't listen to him.
You're not going to have any accidents.
This is Utah. We make babies here. So
get a vasectomy.
Yeah. Anyway, advice. Don't bring up cryptocurrency with women that you're dating for the first time on Tinder until you go through the gambit of looking for all those red flags that probably exist. Okay. So yeah,
get a vasectomy. Don't tell him you've had it. It might spice it up if she puts a gun to your head. You never know.
It could have been a plaything. Yeah, I mean that's probably a turn
on. Might make it a little
people.
More exciting. I mean, you might pick up a bad fetish, but and then when she's done, she's like, in 9 months, I'm taking everything, and
Good luck. Good luck.
Go home. Oh, and also fake IDs, not for the bar.
Do they even use IDs anymore? I don't know.
Sure.
Nobody
don't
IDs
know.
me anymore. I feel old when I go out.
I've been old for a long time. But anyway, so yeah. So Israel and Palestine are kicking off right now.
Again,
What's the origin of it? I have no clue. Dave might. I know that is the Gordian knot. That is a catch-22 situation. Where is the answer to that? Do you rip it in half, give half to one side, half to the other? I doubt they'll get along then. Do you throw one or the other out? Because, you have the real politic. One side has ownership over it because of their strength. And then you have kind of a social justice politic, which I don't mean that negative, but in the last 100 years, that was wrestled from the other side. What's the answer to that? How do you move on from that? Because if that's our standard for argument now, there is probably no one on the face of Earth who doesn't have genetic lineage from a conqueror of where they stand. And I'm talking nowhere. So what's the answer there? But I don't know. Dave, what's going on lately in Israel and Palestine?
so from what I'm understanding, some rockets were launched at Israel. The Iron Dome worked really well, and they retaliated. And I noticed like all these, girls out there are like, "Oh, pray for Palestine and support Palestine," and I'm thinking to myself like, hasn't this been going on like since I was like, I don't know, still in the womb? And
Dude, you weren't even in your dad's nut when this kicked off. I'm going to shoot off the hip right now. All right. The year's 1920. The Zionist movement had just barely started to hit its feelers out there. We're talking prior to Hitler, prior to the big Zionist movement. And a handful of Jewish families moved down there, but there are always traditionally been Jewish people there in Palestine, and then also Palestinians, and Arab people or Arab people. I don't know the proper. I probably said that wrong. Get mad at me in a minute. Anyways, that was kind of the first kickoff. The Arabs started to fill, and this shooting off the hip. Remember, matter of fact check me, put it in the notes, and tell everyone else how wrong I am, and I'll agree with you because I probably am. But the Palestinians started feeling the pressure of all the Jews moving in there, and it seems like there was kind of an Arab uprising in a couple of larger cities that got brutal. And when the Zionists first moved down there, even the local Jews didn't seem to like them because they felt foreign to them. The Zionists were from Europe. The Jews that lived down there spoke the common tongue down there. They lived alongside the Arabs. And when the Jews come down, or the Zionists, I should call them the Zionists, come down, they didn't feel like they were, they didn't feel a kinship with them until I think it was 2021, somewhere around there. There was kind of an uprising that was kind of fostered in a roundabout way by the Arab prime minister down there. And so a riot broke out, and they literally started massacring on wholesale, just Jews, families, women, children. Of course, the Jewish people rose back and started doing the same thing back and forth. But one of the big things it did when that happened, and it was a fatal mistake, was it caused the native Jews to warm up and kind of join the side of the Zionists, and the Arabs lost kind of their best ally in that controversy. And then it just kept going back and forth, and it's continued to go. I mean, World War II, you got the Balfour Declaration, which bolstered the claim to Israel, and then it just kept exploding and kept expanding. And at every turn, I think both sides has made choices out of vengeance instead of out of trying to figure out a better way. And I'm not going to take either side on this because I don't know enough about it. I used to have opinions, but I'm tired of this one. Tired of it.
And that was my feeling too. It's to the point where it's not fair to the next generation. We've been in Afghanistan for a long time,
20 years.
And that's a long war, right? So how about this one? I mean, Palestine versus Israel, Israel versus, well, pretty much the whole Arab community. But I think that all these people choosing a side over here, I don't know if it helps. I don't think it helps. I think what I feel is that the war needs to end. There needs to be someone declared a victor, and that victor needs to put the stipulations on the loser and make it happen, and then the next generation can fix this. It's not going to be fixed in our lifetime. I mean, we just got to admit that. But, I mean, like, we hang out with Japanese people nowadays.
Maybe we should just
My grandfather would have never done that.
Maybe we should just change the name to Pisrael.
To what?
Pisrael, Palestine, Israel. And then put up the Palestinian flag, pop a little blue six-sided star on it, and then I don't know. Actually, it's not for us. I say we pull back. We say, all right, you guys, whatever you're going to do, you're going to do. The U.S. shouldn't get involved in this. Now, Trump had made some gains in Middle East peace. Now, it was gains that were kind of just solidifying peace agreements that were already loosely established over there. But it seems like when President Alzheimer's, what the hell's his name? President,
the thing,
dementia. Anyways, when he got in there, he cut off some of that. Whatever he made some changes in his first 30 days of signing, like 116 executive orders, which is ridiculous, crazy.
That had to hurt his hand.
Crazy, especially from the guy who 3 years prior to that said executive orders are actions of monarchs and dictators. His words.
So he's explaining what he's doing.
So I guess maybe he was just foretelling. But anyways, he changed some things to cause some support. And then, of course, you've got college students feel bad for the Palestinians because, let's face it, every time they turn around, Hamas plays a fool, Palestinians pay the price. I think what we ought to do is let the Palestinians run Hamas out and then see what it looks like then.
But they won't.
And there's that conspiracy theory out there that Hamas was started by Israel because the PLO was gaining too much influence. It's a conspiracy theory, I guess, but it's a common one out there. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's listening or watching with any comments on this. If you got any, lay them on us.
I'm thinking you're of the same mindset. We just sit back and, ask for them to finish this.
It's not ours.
Come out with your fist swinging, give it your best, do all you can do. Yeah. And let's call it good. Let's end it.
I don't think we need to get involved with at all on either side. I don't think it would prove beneficial for us at all. And I mean, well, it's shown. Excuse me. It's shown that it hasn't been beneficial for us. So I don't think we need to deal with it at all.
Yeah, I'm of the same conclusion. I think we agree on this one.
Yeah.
But me, I'm just saying, not only do we not have to get involved, but we should encourage a victor on this one. I would say, you know what, guys, end it. Finish this. Do what you got to do. Let there be nothing less than victory for one side.
I don't even think I care about doing that.
Well, otherwise, it's going to be there for the next generation and the generation after that. And that's not how war is supposed to be.
Sounds like if we pull out of it, that becomes their problem.
Does it? Because, I mean, that's an unusable spot of culture right there, as long as it's at war. I mean, look, we can even go to Vietnam nowadays and hang out.
What do you mean an unused? Yeah, but we were one of the warring parties in Vietnam.
Yeah, but we lost, they won. We went our ways, and nowadays we can go to Vietnam and
that's
drink
great.
coffee there.
That's great.
You know?
I say we let them deal with it how they're going to deal with it.
Well, it's disappointing to me because I think it should be a done deal. It should be something they do, get it done, and let society move on.
I agree. I don't care how they get it done. I say we shouldn't be involved in it. We shouldn't support either side. You know, and I'm sorry. In the Middle East, Israel has the best form of government over there. It isn't perfect, but out of everything over there, it's the best form of government. I still say we let them get it done on their terms. We don't get involved in any of it. But that's just my opinion. We've played around too much, and all it's done is kind of made us an adversary to the community there.
Well, we do supply Israel with all their weapons, which, you know, we don't exactly sell to the Palestinians either. So
the question is, who did you sell it to
fair?
in Palestine?
If they got the Bitcoin to buy it, I mean,
no, who would you sell it to? Israel has a government to sell it to. Palestine has the PLO, which has been taken over by Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
Who would we sell it to?
Well, I guess it would be Hamas if we
just come out. I mean, granted, I understand that we were selling Al Qaeda weapons in Syria, but do we want to just come out and say, hey, we're going to sell the Iron Dome to Hamas?
eBay.com.
Are you going to go to eBay and Raytheon? Yes, I will take 7 Stinger missiles, please.
As long as they promise to get it over with within the year, I'd be okay with it.
I say we back out of it.
Now, what about this? What about the U.S. potentially sending troops to defend Hamas from Israel? How would you feel about that one, Jared?
I stated how I feel a minute ago.
Okay.
We shouldn't touch it. We've already done enough damage.
Well, I've had a rumor somewhere, from an acquaintance stating that he read something where Biden was considering sending American troops to help defend Hamas from Israel.
To help defend Hamas or Palestine?
I would imagine.
Like Palestine, the Gaza Strip and okay.
I mean, I think this was just a rumor. I think this is inaccurate information because I have found nothing on it.
Do we want to engage ourselves in open conflict with a nuclear-armed country on soil that they hold dominion over right now? And not just that. Also a country that has a lot of business dealings into our um,
Our war machine.
into our war machine and our infrastructure machine and all that? Do we want to enter into conflict with that?
With this administration, it wouldn't surprise me that much if that's
Pretty
the
good
route
point.
they took.
That is a good point. This administration has done some goofy things. I don't know. I don't know. Of course, it's not going to end. I don't think. I think even if those two countries started moving towards an end, um, a few of the Arab nations around them would try to keep that spike going, because that is their argument in their countries to stay on their war footings and for their government to maintain its strict control. Like Egypt. Everyone cries about it, but Egypt has the exact same wall between it and the Gaza Strip as Israel does between it and the Gaza Strip. Egypt doesn't let Palestinians across their border either.
Yeah, and I mean, why do the Palestinians even put up with their form of government? If they wanted to, could they even overthrow it at this point? Probably not. I wouldn't imagine.
And again, which government? Are you talking about the PLO or Hamas? Hamas is, it does have a forward political wing, but it's also a shadowy government. The PLO has been handicapped by Hamas.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think its best opportunity to thrive in society is to be occupied by Israel and just dissolved. I'm sorry, but Arabs are really bad at making governments.
Not all of them. I mean,
midgets don't play basketball.
The original,
very well.
The original best governments on Earth were, well, not Arabs. They were actual Caucasians from the Caucasus, but Cyrus and all them. But they ruled over kind of the same area. Actually, they ruled over Iraq.
Ruling people and forming government, I don't look at that the same. A government should be out there trying to figure out like how to. Never mind. You know where that'll go.
We know what government should be doing. Should be fisting themselves in the dark closet. But anyways, so yeah. I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. If anyone else has any thoughts, Dave has his thoughts. Our thoughts aren't misaligned. Dave just,
And here's another thing: choosing a side. I see everyone choosing a side, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how would I choose a side if I wanted to choose a side? And I think about all the kind of cool products that the Jews come out with in Israel. They have the soda machine. Have you seen that soda machine where you turn your water?
Yeah, Soda Stream.
And then I'm thinking, okay, well, they got Soda Stream. Mm-hmm. What do the Palestinians have that they brought to my market for my
Well, you
enjoyment?
could also have another argument that the Palestinians aren't allowed to start up industry there by the Israelis.
If they could, would they?
I don't know.
I mean, they don't really seem too... if I remember right, they were offered a state like over 3 times. 3 options, okay. Right?
No, all right. So if we're going to go into that declaration. So you got the 65, is it the 63, 65 borders that were declared. And Israel has pushed them back from that. And I'm not going to justify Israel, and I'm not going to demonize them in this. But Palestine is, now that they're offered states, they're kind of offered these really cloistered areas when they've got a populace that's cloistered into unusable land, and they're cloistered in real tight. So when they're offered that, you can have your own statehood, but Israel's still going to control the ports. You can't even go fishing out in the ocean. And that's what happens. Israel fires on fishing boats all the time. You can't start up any industry, but you can have a state. You can call it yours. You can fly your flag. You can build a rebel house or whatever, but you're still going to be under this thumb.
Mm-hmm.
So you have no economic prospects. So I don't fault Palestine for saying, fuck that. But that's not me justifying Palestine or Israel. That's just me saying, I mean, it's a Gordian knot. I don't know what the answer would be. I mean, granted, I believe the whole world could stay. I believe even just the local, the local area, Iran, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Egypt. Now, probably not Yemen right now. They're a little busy getting messed up. But if they were all to gather together and talk to, I don't think they would have to invade to get it done, but would say, hey, look, we're going to negotiate a fair deal here. I mean, if it was going to be done with force and I had control, I'd say, all right, you guys have 30 days to move to the north. You guys have 30 days to move to the south. I'm building the wall. You guys leave each other alone. If I was to do it by force. But would any of those options work?
So I'm not educated on what the options were for the statehood. I do know they were offered statehood 3 times. So that would be an interesting tidbit of information to learn is, were they offered the opportunity to build in their own ports? Were they offered land that was usable? Yeah.
Do you remember that there was that ship that private donors, this was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I can't remember, but private donors got a medical ship together and loaded food on it and medical supplies. And we're trying to sail into Palestine, and Israel actually assaulted it with helicopters and dropped, Marines on it.
I do remember that, yes.
Yeah, Israel doesn't let shit into Palestine.
Right, and I can understand why, because now they got
you don't want weapons to get in there. Yeah,
right.
I get it. It's a catch-22.
Because every time Palestine receives aid, they end up using it to construct tunnels or buy weapons, and they're almost like suicidally bent.
Well, they want
Israel.
their land back. They want what was theirs 100 years ago back. I'm not faulting them, but I'm also not faulting Israel for saying, hey, look, world's been kind of ugly. We're going to maintain our own and defend it, boldly.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you fault? How do you pick all that apart?
Yeah. And again, it all rolls back to having a war that happens generation after generation after generation. Look, you know what? It doesn't seem like
I got the best idea.
Oh, all right. You got an idea. Go ahead.
Starting today, force them all to marry and breed with the other. Take care of it in 2 generations.
Who's going to force it?
I don't care. Me, I'll force it. I'll go over there and say you and you. You and you.
Get yourself a wife?
No, I'll just be like, this one looks good. This is yours now. And hand them off. And then, yeah, make the son go live with the in-laws. Whole works.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a fix right
Forced
there.
marriage.
I will breed the war out of them.
Oof. I mean, trying to make marriage work consensually is already.
But they're doing it for their country.
What's a country?
They're doing it for their.
What is a country? Really?
They're doing it for their people.
You want to start questioning what a country is? Get married forcibly to another culture, I guess. They'll be like, yeah, what is a country? It's like
I think it'd work.
Of your imagination.
I think it'd work 100%. After all of my successful marriages.
Well, thank you for the marriage advice.
I can stand by. Anyways, I don't know. Doesn't seem like a lot of people are commenting on it tonight. So all we got is Laura says hi. Hi, Laura. Hope all is well. Yeah, we're going to close this out real quick. There's a couple people hanging on, but nobody seems to have thoughts. Nobody's supporting me on my marriage contract ideas.
Hide your Dogecoin, Jared.
Hide my Dogecoin so that the young ladies don't meet me on Twinder and put a gun to my head. That's right. I'm old and decrepit. My swimmers go backwards. I ain't getting no one pregnant.
Upside down.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's probably just go in circles and drool on themselves. All right, guys, have a good night. So yeah, we're gonna try to get Jody back on. We want to talk about what's going on with the Jordan Bird Memorial Highway that they're building.
I'm interested to see what these obstacles are. I mean, it seems like a completely practical
and that's
idea.
just to give it the name, right?
Yeah. Just
all
the
right.
name.
So
That's
here's a forelook at it. Also, I wanted to check out one thing on. So there is a push to put the to make Utah a two-way sanctuary state, and of course, we both really support this push, and we want to see it happen. So, Jason Frazier, the gentleman that was on a couple weeks ago, he put this up. And this comes out of the Tooele County Two-Way Sanctuary. You can find it there. You can find it on my page. You can also find it on the Happy Hour. The special session of legislature is coming up. On the table is a bill to make Utah a two-way sanctuary. We need to email all our state representatives, state senators, and Governor Cox to make sure it is. To make sure it is this. Sorry, he's probably typing this hard time, but state reps and Senate, not federal. So, yeah. So what you want to do is you want to get a hold of your state senator, reach out to him, find him. So here we've got Doug Sagers, and that's Doug Sagers at le.utah.gov, and Spencer Cox, which is Spencer Cox at utah.gov. We're going to put both of these in the show notes, but yeah, reach out to them, throw your support behind it. We need to get this done. Okay. All right. I don't recall the Senate madness and emails, but you can find them on the Utah government website. So if you have a senator other than Sagers or Cox, go to the government website, look it up. Please email them, be polite, let them know you wish for them to make Utah a two-way sanctuary. We want to give them a substantial amount of emails, fostering this, and that way they'll that's how we get a representative government to represent us.
Also added in the email is the fact that they are opposed to critical race theory being taught to our youth, especially when the U.S. ranks 38th in math and 24th in science worldwide. He states, I think that education is slightly better than CRT. So if you want to throw your opinion about critical race theory not being allowed,
we need to do a show on that.
Now, should it be an optional thing, kind of like square dancing?
Well, I think we should do a show on critical race theory. How many people listening don't know what it is?
I'm sure pretty much most everyone today knows a little bit about it.
Okay, well, anyways,
but we should.
If you are against critical race theory, I would suggest doing it in two distinct emails. One, make the state a Second Amendment sanctuary. And I would also send an email and say, make the state a First Amendment sanctuary. That is the most important. And then I would say we need to keep, I know it's odd, I say First Amendment and then say keep critical race theory out of schools. But the schools is a public thing. And I don't think public institutions should be teaching doctrine that that fosters any kind of racism.
It
And-
shouldn't be mandatory.
Well, and let's be clear, critical race theory fosters racism. It just does. Where, and I do want to do a show on reparations. I want to get a hold of some people who have thoughts and ideas on reparations, have them come in and talk about it, because maybe there is an idea. Tell us the pros and cons of CRT. It's a mess over there and always has. Okay. Betsy says it's a mess over there and always has been, it seems. Yeah, it has been since the Zionist movement really initially started going over there. It started up, I think, in around 1880, about the same time that France and, about the same time that Germany became a nation. I think about 4 or 5 years before it happened. Okay, tell us the pros and cons of CRT. The pros of critical race theory. I think we should have just honest history laid out in class. The 1619 project has been knocked down by any serious historian that's looked at it. It is a history project written by journalists that have an agenda. And also, to say that one group or another group is bad, I think we need to drift away from looking at groups. We need to look at individuals.
See, I would say that maybe it's not such a bad thing if it's done right. I mean, if the statistical data is clearly showing that black people are better at basketball than white people, or Asians are better at math than white people, let it show. I don't think we should hide it anymore.
It was nice knowing you guys. We'll be on BitChute later.
I think it's perfectly fine to actually study this stuff and put it together in some sort of a statistical way.
I like honest history laid out. I don't think critical race theory meets that qualification. Critical race theory is when you look at a neighborhood that's falling apart and then try to point at someone not in that neighborhood to blame under any circumstance. And never once do you look at that neighborhood and say, okay, you guys need to change this about within yourself. And it just gathers everyone into groups. And I am by the original term a liberal. I want to promote individualism.
Well, maybe I'm just not sure what critical race theory is, because it seems like it's trying to gather information.
Then we need to do a show
groups.
on it. We need to have someone come in. We need to get with James, get that Ogden BLM lady to come on, and we need to keep working on the Utah BLM lady.
Now she did say she's possibly rescheduled for June, so I'm hoping.
Okay.
I mean, if anyone knows anything about critical race theory, I bet you it's going to be her. So that would probably be our best bet.
Yeah, that'd be great. But anyways, thanks for joining us, everyone. I know this show just kind of went off the rails quite a bit because we didn't know what we were talking about. We just kind of popped in. It seems like when we get canceled on, it seems to kind of be a last minute thing every time. And yeah, that's too bad. But we'll be back next week. Oh, schedule change. The show is changing to Fridays starting next week. So we can plan on it Friday around 5:00, around the happy hour time next week. And if you watch the other show, the Wild Pod, that'll be on noon on Fridays. But yeah, I've had a schedule change at my day job, so both shows will be hosted on Fridays. If you guys got something going on in the city, please reach out to us. We want to have you come on and talk about it. If you've got any special events or any movements you're trying to start or anything, let us know. We want to get in on helping you get the word out.
And don't forget to like, subscribe, or scratch or whatever.
Share, and I think you got to hit a bell now. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But
we're trying, guys. We want to reach you out there.
Yeah.
And give you the service and provide you with something happy to listen to once in a while. So, oh, and advertising. Yeah, we'll also advertise for you,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah, that happens sometimes.
Yeah, but and we'll see you guys on Friday.